Everybody, welcome back here to another stream, my friends. Hope everyone is doing good. Good to have you guys here for another update. We got a lot of stuff going on here. Got a really big flooding threat today, and of course all kinds of other fun stuff going on, of course. But what's up, everybody? Hope everyone is doing well. It is good to see you guys. Let's see who we have here. We have Misty. We have Tabletop, we have Bill, we have Sydney, we have Shadow. What's up, guys? Of course, everybody else who is here but just not chatting. It is good to see you guys. So, yeah, you can tell by the big mess on this map here that we just have all kinds of stuff going on here. From big heat to flooding to all kinds of fun stuff. Severe weather, tropics. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit, too. What's up, Roby? What's up, Karen? Saying an interesting weather day. That it is. That it is. We actually got a pretty big flooding threat, so let's try not to overwhelm you guys with everything, and let's just start with the flooding, because there is a lot of things that we do need to be looking out for, and flooding is definitely a big one here for today. What's up, Renita? Saying hi, Andrew. Good to see ya. Let's see here. What's up, Amelia? Is that how you say your name? Saying hello, young man. What's up? Hope you are doing good. So, yeah, we got a really big flooding concern today. Actually, the WPC put out a red moderate risk area here for central Illinois. That's where the greatest potential for flooding is going to be today, which gives at least a 40% chance probability of flooding here. So that's a pretty big risk out there for central Illinois. So if you know anybody out there, just give them a heads up. You know, just be like, hey, we got ourselves a pretty big flooding threat, and you know that is going to be a pretty big concern for those low-lying areas here. But I mean, you could really see a lot of the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, going down in towards like Tennessee and a little bit of the Southeast. I mean, we have a pretty big flooding threat here. That yellow indicating that 15% chance probability here for flooding. The green is a relatively low-end flooding threat, but we do have at least a 5% chance out here for the flooding potential. But yeah, once again, the main issue is going to be up there across the red, that moderate zone. We're going to be seeing quite a bit of rain. Roby says here, but harvesting honey. Wow, interesting. Finally got some warm temperatures and no rain in southwest Missouri. That is another one of the problems, is that a lot of people are dealing with a lot of really hot temperatures. Yeah, it's even here. We're having like heat index values of over 110 over here in Central Florida. I mean, it's pretty rough. Yesterday, my weather station reported, I think it was 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit with a dew point, I think, of 73 or 74, which is really high. You know, with those together, that's terrible. And, you know, we're seeing something very similar to that today, unfortunately. So it's like, oh, Just tired of this heat, man, I tell you. What's up, Dragonfly? Saying hello from Michigan. What's up, my friend? Hope you're doing good. So yeah, like I mentioned, we do have a lot of rainfall coming in here. So for today, from the WPC, you can see that we do have a pretty good amount of rainfall for portions out here in Illinois, of course, out there by like Indiana, Ohio. You know, some places today we could pick up a couple of inches of rain. You know, locally higher amounts certainly possible. You can see kind of the hot spot here once again is towards the central side here of Illinois, in which a lot of that works its way throughout Indiana. You know, where we could pick up a couple of inches here. You know, like I said, it could isolatedly get to, is that a word? Isolatedly. It could isolatedly, well, if it's not a word, I'm making it, get up to a couple of inches here, up across portions of. Up across portions here of Kentucky and whatnot as well. Let's see your heat. What heat? There's no warming. Yeah. Well, let me show you something, my friend. Let me show you all of these heat warnings and stuff that we have. All these extreme heat warnings for Missouri and Kansas and all kinds of places here, dude. It's getting ridiculously hot. Heat index values up to 109. Ugh. Yeah, and we have the ones down here. These are heat advisories here in this kind of brown color. A lot of heat, and that does extend down into Florida here where I'm at. You know, here in Polk County where I'm at, we have a heat advisory. This is for up to 110. Yuck. Yeah, it's rough, man. I tell you. Try wearing a bee suit in 100. I don't know how you do that. I really do not know how you did that, to be honest. That sounds miserable. That absolutely sounds miserable. We got a special weather statement here. Temperature is rising into the upper 90s combined with high humidity. Heat indices of 105 to 108. Expected to remain. Whoa, yeah. So I guess they just put like a little short term. But yeah, anyway, so this red area, or sorry, yes, because this green is red. I'm gonna retry to do that sentence again. Okay, so this green area here, this is where we are seeing a bit of a flooding concern. We do have a big flooding watch here in effect for portions of eastern Iowa, cutting through Illinois across that hotspot we were talking about. Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, and as far east as western West Virginia. Got ourselves a little bit of flooding potential out here, which we do need to look out there. That expires tomorrow. But yeah, like I mentioned, we're going to see quite, a few inches out across some of these regions here in which we're going to be seeing, a bit of flooding, especially once again out there by like Illinois, central Illinois. That's where the greatest concern is here. How is hurricane season looking? Well, I tell you what, my friend, I will show you something. This is in the works here. This is a transcript of a hurricane video that I am making soon, a hurricane update. So stay tuned for that. But I will tell you what's going on now, though. So we do have one system here in the Atlantic, just east of the Windward and Leeward Islands here. They did lower the probability of development here. It's now at a 10% chance. Let's go to goes east here, or goes 19. Switch over here. There we go. So you can see it's just a big blob, and really nothing more than just a big blob of storms right now. It's not really doing anything crazy right now. This thing is going to be, you guys can't see that very well, but yeah, 10-10. It's likely not going to do anything major. But this system is going to be running into a bit of drier air and a bit of wind shear as it works its way here kind of to the northwest. We do have a lot of Saharan dust coming off, though. You can see that. I mean, look how hazy it is up there. I mean, this goes pretty far into the MDR here, the main development region. Probably contributing to some of that dry air that this storm is going to be engulfing. You can see some more out here in the Caribbean, the Eastern Caribbean. There's a lot of Saharan dust out there right now. So, that storm more than likely is going to start pulling in some of that, and that's really going to kind of ruin its odds of even doing anything. So that's probably why the Hurricane Center lowered the probability because, like I mentioned, it just doesn't seem quite possible right now because of all of the the dry air and the wind shear and stuff like that. So it's like, well, that's good. It's actually good. I'm happy about it. On the other hand, on the other side of the ocean, on the EPAC, Eastern Pacific, we do have another area well away from land, though. Not really anything big. Just 20/20 chance, overall probability of formation through 7 days, 20% of it becoming a depression or storm. And throughout the next 2 days or 48 hours, we have a 20% chance as well. So yeah, the odds are not really super high at the moment for both the EPAC and the Atlantic, the North Atlantic. So we're looking pretty good as of right now. Let's see here. Is it way above average severe weather this time of the year? Whenever, it seems like it has been very active lately. I cannot confirm if it is, above, but it really feels like it, doesn't it? Bill says, am I going to cover severe weather in the Northeast? Yes, actually. Here, let me hop over here to the Day 1 Outlook. So we do actually have a slight risk here today. Up across northern New Jersey, including northeastern Pennsylvania, but eastern New York State here, a little bit of Vermont, a little bit of, New Hampshire, a little bit of Maine, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island. So, we do have a slight risk out here. Tornado-wise, we got 3 big 2% here. Let's go ahead and get rid of those other areas here. Don't want to confuse you guys too much with everything going on here, but we do have 3 areas here of 2% tornado risk here. One up here in the Northeast, one up here towards kind of the Midwest Ohio Valley here between Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio, and of course another one up here towards the Northern Plains here too. So across the green areas here today, we can't rule out a tornado or two. It's going to be quite possible. Let's see. What's up, Scott? Sounds good, Roby. I'll look at it after stream, right? No, Samuel. Nothing's coming for the golf. We're good. Yeah, tropics seem pretty calm right now, actually, which is very good. Like I said, yeah, we do have that little 10% chance area, but the odds of this thing doing anything is very low. The system is likely not going to do anything. So here's the GFS here, the recent 12 UTC run that we have. And you can see that system right down here where my cursor's at. So watch what happens whenever I progress this in time. You can see how this does work its way here to the west, but it really doesn't materialize into anything here, according to the GFS model. Now, if we look at the moisture levels throughout the atmosphere, you can see that it does, contain some decent amounts of moisture, but, as we work our way out there by the, the Windward and Leeward Islands, it could start to have a little bit more of a drier air concern. But the main issue with this storm system here is going to be that wind shear. We're going to have a kind of a big problem with wind shear the closer that we do get, if this model will load. Be very much appreciated. But yeah, we do start to run in a little bit stronger wind shear over there towards those waters. So, that's going to really kind of prevent it from really doing anything. You can kind of see that jet there. Wind shear does seem pretty high overall. So that's really going to be what's limiting the storm here to really do anything. Let's see here. Seen some dude with a model saying July 31st major hurricane. Well, that person is an idiot. I'm sorry to tell you that, but you cannot look out that far. I mean, seriously, that's like really, really far out. I mean, that is over 250 hours out. That is ridiculous. You cannot look that far out. You got to look out within reasonable time frame at most about a week, and even then it's like there is still a lot of uncertainties looking out that far. But no, don't let them spread misinformation to you. So the GFS, yeah, I mean there is nothing. I will go out that far, but you cannot look out that far because it's just too uncertain. Things just, the further you got in the models, the more inaccurate it becomes. So just remember that. So the closer you look, the more easier it is to predict. The further you look, the harder it is to. because there's so many little changes going on that these models can't pick up. So that's part of it, and also resolution-wise, they're not that good to be able to get every little fine detail that really goes on. Let's see here. I agree. That's why I asked you. Yeah. No, please, y'all, please don't trust that. I'm here to tell you there's nothing big going on here in the Atlantic. Why do I keep grabbing soundings by accident? GFS shows nothing here. Euro, let's see here. Euro even shows really not much happening. We do have that not invest, but that disturbance that we're watching here. It's not an invest here, but that'll work its way west. But yeah, you can see it just kind of fizzles out even from Euro once we approach the the Lesser Antilles. So that's that. Now the Euro does show something else, maybe like another wave coming off of Africa here. That'll be right around the 23rd, 24th. I mean, that's reasonable time frame. Let's see, did GFS pick up on that? Ah, you know what? GFS does actually pick up on that. Just another little wave, but it doesn't look like it materializes. Here, let's try some other models like CMC. Okay. I don't know. We're just going to have to see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little area that the Hurricane Center adds. I mean, if that trend continues. But it doesn't look like anything big, really. One thing I will tell you, though, that I've actually been kind of watching here, guys, is that in the EPAC, like looking at the GFS and whatnot, it does look like we... obviously it's a little far out here, and this is just one model. Once again, I don't like looking far, but there has been some consistency in possibly another tropical system. I mean, if we go back to the previous model run, you can see the GFS, and the one before that, and the one before that, and the one before that. So you can see there definitely is some consistency here. But once again, I mean, this is GFS, and GFS is known to be very interesting sometimes. That's why it's really good to look at the other models, too. Like, looking at Euro here, you can see that Euro doesn't really have much happening. So, that's why I'm not super confident in it quite yet. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens over the next little bit. Let's see here. Could we get a quieter hurricane season if the African dust plays a role? I mean, yeah, absolutely. So Saharan dust is a big concern for development in tropical cyclones. Same thing as wind shear, moisture levels. I mean, those are all big problems or big, concerns for tropical development, in which absolutely. But, Hurricane Center, they did say that we are going to be in an above average season, which I still believe we're just kind of getting a little bit of a slow start, I'd say. I mean, obviously nothing big really has happened yet, and, we're pushing almost into August here. So, but yet, we're not even at the top of the ladder yet. We're just starting to climb the ladder of activity. And let me actually show you this real quickly. Hold on. So the activity chart I'm getting ready to show you kind of shows you what the activity kind of looks like for different times of the year. So maybe I can zoom out a little bit so you can see this a little bit better. There you go. So obviously right now we're in late July. So if we go to the map here, here's July, this is August. So we're kind of right in here. We're right in this area here, which as you can see, we're just starting to climb the ladder. We're getting ready to. So, I mean, on average, there's not a whole lot of activity that really happens this time of the year because, the waters are still heating up. But, I will tell you this, though. The Gulf as well as the Caribbean, especially the Gulf, are really, really hot right now. I mean, those waters out there, we are talking 29, 30, 31 degrees Celsius. Or greater in some local spots, which, the waters are already super warm out there. The MDR, the main development region off the west coast of Africa, could still use a bit more heating, and as it will, over the next couple of months here, as, we continue to get a lot of that sunlight and, that heats up the waters and stuff. But yeah, you can see peak hurricane season here. This is basically the second week of September. You know, the early second week here. September 10th is kind of the peak of hurricane season. So, you know, as you can see, we're not even climbing up the ladder really yet. We're getting ready to, but so, you know, there's not a whole lot that can be really said right now because, you know, not really the main part of action has occurred yet. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Let's see here. I think next month for August. Yeah, so August is when things start picking up quite a bit here. Absolutely. Yeah, things definitely start picking up in August, which, as you can see here, you know, between kind of beginning of August here to later portion of August, you know, that's a main part of the ladder climbing up until we hit September. Then that's peak. Then it slowly goes back down, in which, you know, hurricane season's already been going on here since, I believe, June 1st, and I think it ends, was it November 31st or November 30th? I forgot which day. I'm always forgetting times because I've been pretty good at forgetting a lot of things, but it's somewhere around late November is whenever hurricane season ends, so we're really just getting started. Let's see here. I believe this is my third hurricane season with you. Well, I am glad to have you here, my friend. Glad to have you here. Yeah, I've been tracking the tropics for a while now. I think I really started picking up in, not on the channel, but, you know, on my own free time. I think I really started right around 2014. It's been a while. What's up, Brandy? Tabletop says, did I miss my question? Sorry. No. What's up, Sharon? Hope you're doing good. Saying hello, Andrew. What's up? Good to have you. But anyways, recap. Once again, nothing really going on in the tropics. We're pretty quiet right now. So the main problem right now is in the States. That's where the main issue is right now. So let's go ahead and hop on back here. Alrighty, so yeah, so like I said, once again, we have a lot of problems going on in the country here. Mostly a big heat issue, especially for the South and a bit of the Midwest and everything like that. I mean, once again, we got all kinds of heat warnings, heat advisories, heat watches. I mean, all kinds of fun stuff going on here. So just please make sure you guys are ready for the heat. I'm sure you guys have probably already been feeling it and, you know, dealing with it and all. I mean, it's been pretty brutal. It sucks. I get it. But just make sure you don't overwork yourself. Make sure you drink plenty of water, take frequent breaks, all that stuff, because it's just, you know, it sucks. But just please be careful about it, because, you know, heat exhaustion and heat stroke is a big concern with days like today. And unfortunately, we're going to be kind of hot for a while, it looks like. So, you know, hate to say that, but yeah, I mean, we got all kinds of heat advisories and stuff going on out here. And then, like I said, once again, we also do have a pretty big flooding concern here, too, up here towards the Ohio Valley, a little bit of the Midwest here overall, in which, you know, once again, we do have actually quite a big flooding concern here today. Once again, with that moderate here that the WPC actually put out here, once again. So for central Illinois, you know, we do got that moderate 40% chance probability here, in which, you know, here for today, we're going to be picking up a couple of inches, more than likely. See, hurricane season ends on November 30th. I knew it was sometime around in there, yeah. Tabletop says, I'm just worried about tomorrow. So tomorrow, nah, you're good. It's just a marginal tomorrow here. It's a really low-end severe weather threat. Nothing really too crazy going on tomorrow. Not even a tornado risk here. Just a little bit of gusty winds. Not even a hail threat for you. So, you're looking pretty good. You're looking pretty good. Nothing really too crazy. But I would stay weather aware. But yeah, today is actually one of the main days that we should be, or today's the main day of concern, I should say, with severe weather. Because, I mean, we got 3 areas here of a level 2 severe weather threat here. Let me go ahead and hide all these warnings and stuff. So, of course, we have the central northern plains. We have a little bit here of the Ohio Valley. In the northeast here, we definitely need to be actively weather aware in these regions. And once again, we have 3 areas of tornado probability here too. So these are just 2% chance areas here, which this is pretty low end tornadic probability. These areas, we cannot rule out the potential of an isolated spin up tornado or two, but more than likely it would relatively be weak and brief, pretty shortly lived if we did have anything. So that's good. No organized significant tornadic activity today. So that's good. But yeah. Heck with mowing. Dude, the grass has been growing like crazy down here. From all the rain that we've been getting and all the sun, it is ridiculous. I mean, it seems like you mow the grass, then you wake up the next morning and it needs it again. It's been crazy lately. That's for sure. I'm sure it's been that way for a lot of you. It's definitely been that way here in Central Florida. I mean, it's never ending. I swear it grows an inch an hour. Let's see here. Do I have to worry about anything with the 2% tornado risk here? Well, it depends on where you're at. If you're in the 2% risk here, it's not something that you should stress yourself over. It is a very low end odd. The odds are very low that you'll get anything. And even if you did, more than likely it would be on the lower scale of things. Relatively weak, relatively brief, but given that there is a tornado risk, I mean, you should monitor it throughout the day, and just know where to go if a warning is issued. That's all I'd have to say. But just, don't worry yourself over it. The odds of you getting one is extremely low, even in a 2%. I mean, shoot, even in a 10% chance, the odds of you getting a tornado is still very low. So try not to let it intimidate you, because, the odds are pretty low here. Now, that's not going to be the only concern for today, though. We do have also three big areas here with the 15% wind risk here as well. Potential here for some damaging winds here. 60 worst case scenario upwards of 70 miles an hour within some of the storms. Cannot be ruled out completely. Yes, Roby, hydration is very important. What's up, Gordon? Saying Northeast Oklahoma here. Hope you're doing good, my friend. Josh says, can I go to Central Pennsylvania, please? Yes, I can do that for you. So, Central Pennsylvania, it just depends on where you're at here. Let's go ahead and turn on these towns here so I can go ahead and get that going so you guys can kind of see where we're looking at. A lot of Central Pennsylvania is going to be pretty good today. We do have a potential for thunderstorms out there, given our general thunderstorm risk here. But, yeah, really not anything severe. The eastern side of Pennsylvania, though, we do have a bit of a concern for severe weather. Just depends exactly where you're at. Out there by, like, State College area here, we just have that level 0, that general thunderstorm risk, which is not a severe weather threat. Let's see here. Austin wants to know, is Weaverville, North Carolina safe? Well, let me take a look. We'll see what's going on here for you. Go ahead and bring this up. Okay, so you're along the western side. So, yeah, you have a thunderstorm chance today. A little bit of storms are possible today, but, nothing big. Looking at the warnings and stuff here. If I go ahead and show them. Actually, yeah, you're pretty good, it looks like. It doesn't look like we really have anything big going on for western North Carolina. We have a lot of heat advisories and all that fun stuff on the central eastern side of the state, but it appears you are not in any of those. You're also outside of the flooding risk area here. Although I will tell you this, actually, no, you do have a little bit of a flooding concern, actually. What I meant by the flooding risk was the watch. I don't know. I should have probably specified that a little bit better. But no, you do actually have a level 2 flooding risk out here. So a little bit of flooding possible. But I mean, generally speaking, really not anything super duper wild. But yeah, if you're in a low-lying area that's prone to flooding, it wouldn't hurt to keep an eye on that. Let's see here. Bill says I usually don't get worried. I'm always outside with these storms. On the 3rd of July, I got a storm. I had 65-mile-an-hour winds. Wow. I recommend if you're going to stay outside, stay under a porch. Don't go out and about. I've always loved watching storms from the porch and everything like that. It's not very safe. So, do it at your own risk. I wouldn't recommend it personally, because you don't want to be outside during that. But, where I grew up, I used to have this roof over our porch, so it was a little better. But no, I get it. But just make sure if it gets too rough, you go inside. And please don't be in the middle of a field holding up a metal pole or something. I would not recommend it. Yep, no problem, table. Sharon says hit the like button for Andrew. I appreciate it. Thank you. Hurricane Center issued a tropical weather outlook. Did they update it? Is it any different than it was? Here, let me, well, here, let me bring this up again here real quick. I'm going to bring up the Hurricane Center page, and let's see if they updated it. They did. They didn't change anything, though. It didn't look like. Here, let's bring y'all back over here. Yeah, it doesn't look like the Hurricane Center did anything here. We got a 10-10 still. Yeah, like I said, it's going to run into some problems in the future. You know, running into a bit of those. There it is, by the way, right now. You can kind of see it's just blobs of storms, really. Nothing really super organized or anything like that. But yeah, no, it is going to run into some issues as it works its way to the west here. Once it gets towards the the Lesser Antilles and those regions out there by the Windward, Leeward Islands. Yeah. It's going to run into that wind shear and that little bit drier air up north here. But, yeah, I don't think it'll be anything major, so, yeah, nothing to worry about. Austin says, thanks, man, helps a lot. Yeah, no problem, dude. I got you. Yeah, if you have any more questions, y'all, please don't hesitate to ask. That's what I'm here for. You know, that's what this whole channel is here for. It's just to keep y'all safe, keep y'all weather aware. It's good to know what's going on in the weather, you know. What about Louisville, Kentucky? Okay, Louisville's got a little bit of problems, though. I ain't gonna lie. We do have a heat advisory for one. First of all, look at that. We do have a heat advisory as well as a flood watch here. So for the Louisville area here, flash flooding is a concern due to excessive rainfall. They don't really say how much rain unless I'm blind, but I don't see how much they really mention. But what I can do for you, first of all, heat's an issue. You're going to see probably some really hot conditions out there in which that has heat index values up to 108. So flash flooding, heat, very hot conditions overall. Severe weather-wise, Louisville does have a level 2 slight risk here today, in which we do have just outside of that tornado risk here. We do have a threat for gusty winds, and that's it. So we have a 15% risk out there for damaging wind gusts upwards of 60 miles an hour. So can't rule that out. Can't rule it out. You were under a metal roof. I know it was kind of dumb. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that. You know, because lightning likes metal very much and very tall objects. So I would recommend getting away from very big, tall objects and metal substances. I would not recommend it. What's up, Chris? Saying happy Sunday, man. Yesterday's storm system in Maryland dumped at least 1 to 2 inches in my area with locally higher amounts. That's a lot of rain. Around 4 inches. Neighborhoods have a lot of flooding. Hope you're doing good, Chris. Good to have you here, man. And that sounds pretty wild. Sounds pretty wild. Maryland today is actually pretty chill. None of those heat issues. I'm sure it's probably still pretty warm, but none of those heat advisories or heat warnings or anything like that are in the area. So that's good. Darian, do you have a photo of Lay's sour cream and onion potato chips as your profile picture? That is one of the most random profile pictures I think I've ever seen, but I love it. What's up, Moon? Hope you're doing good. Saying, hey, Andrew, hey. Let's see. Is that my son in Weaverville also? Oh, I got you. Also, hi to your mom. Sorry I don't chat much here in Northwest Georgia. Love you, kid. I appreciate that, Moon. Good to have you here, my friend. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Darian saying hi, Andrew, or everyone. What's up? Man, I can't take you serious with your sour cream and onion potato chip bag as a profile picture. I ain't gonna lie. Anyways, so speaking of hail today, moving on. We do have a pretty decent hail risk overall, in which we do have a actual hatch risk here. So we could see some pretty large hail today. Up here across this black dashed area here, in which we are talking potential. Do they really show how big the hail could get? I don't think they do. But usually, yeah, whenever you have that, they The significant threat means, greater than 2-inch probability here. So, yeah, pretty large hail up here, out there by the plains and whatnot. Darian says, okay, thank you, Andrew. Yeah, no problem. No problemo. Also, moving on to fire weather, we haven't talked about this here. We got a lot of red flag warnings for central northern Nevada, a little bit of southern Idaho, and portions of Wyoming here. So if you don't know what red flag warnings mean, basically saying that there's wildfire problems, threat for wildfires and stuff like that. So, the fuel for wildfires consists of low relative humidity and strong winds, in which we are having a lot of that out there. You can see that, let's see, your winds gusting up to 35. Relative humidity as low as 13%. That is very low. Very, very low. Western Nevada, we have lake wind advisories here. Wait, why? Obviously not all these areas are lakes. Why do they have it? I mean, they're per county. The counties out west are huge, by the way. But yeah, lake wind advisory. We do have some small... some small craft advisories out here along the western side of California. Also for the Chesapeake Bay, too. We got a small crap advisory in effect. Special weather statements up here in Pennsylvania, New York. Thunderstorms will continue to develop eastward across southern New York and northeast Pennsylvania between 12 p.m. and 7 p.m. Some storms could become strong to possibly severe and produce isolated damaging wind gusts and dangerous cloud-to-ground lightning. A few of these storms could also produce brief heavy rainfall, which could lead to isolated instances of flash flooding. Remain weather aware and have a plan on what to do if severe thunderstorms or flash flooding strikes. Roby says, got to go buy paint for a hive. Thanks, Andrew, for the update. Out to all. Stay safe. Thank you, Roby. You take care, my friend. You take care. All right, y'alls. We're going to hop into some model action here. We're going to get into it. Weather models, that is. Let's see. I had a hard time explaining that to people that don't know I'm in the weather. So let's hop on over here into the models here. We're going to take a look at the weather models here in the regions of severe weather today. Let's see here. Andrew, my chips bag... Huh? My chips bag, my mom's store, ice sour cream onion. Do I have... Hold on. Darian says, Andrew, my chips bag, my mom store, I sour onion chip. Do I don't know, forget about it. Okay. Anyways, I don't know what you mean by that, Darian, but you do you, my friend. Anyways, moving on. We're gonna hop up here to the northeast real quickly. We're gonna take a look here at the action. So obviously we have that coastal or that that northeasterly threat here for today, which we'll take a look at real quickly. Once again, including portions of like New York State, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Vermont, New Hampshire, a little bit of Maine, a little bit of Pennsylvania and whatnot. With the level 2 threat. So, moving on over here to the models, which we're going to look at the wrap here. So, as you can see, regionally across the region, we do have a decent amount of instability here, indicated in this blue. This is basically the fuel for these storms. We are well over 1,000 joules per kilogram of instability, which that's pretty good. It's enough to get some organized storm development, so there's enough fuel for that. Lower level wind shear, on the other hand, seems pretty weak, although we do have about 10 to maybe 15 knots of lower level winds going northeast here. So there's that, which that's pretty weak, which is good. Mid-level shear seems to be fairly weak as well. Let's see, moisture-wise, oh yeah, we're good. 60, 70 dews, we're chilling. Yeah, we got a little bit of a frontal system, it looks like, pushing through here. So, anyways, yeah, just a little bit of organized severe weather will be quite possible out here today. Once again, hopping back over here to the SPC, we do have, that little 2% tornado risk here for portions of, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, eastern New York State, Vermont, New Hampshire, and a little bit of Maine here. Damaging wind threat, 15% risk across the yellow, 5% chance across the brown, and hail, we have that 5% chance here as well. Anyways, what's up, Ryan? Saying, hey, Andrew, hope all is well. You as well, my friend. Good to have you here. Let's see here. How am I, Andrew? I'm doing pretty good, Darian. I hope you're doing good yourself. Hope you are doing well. So then we move our way over here to, let's move back to the models real quickly. But then we move our way over here into the Ohio Valley, towards the Midwest region. We have a lot of instability out here. You can kind of see. Pretty good amount of fuel. No ripping lower level jet or anything like that. So, there's not going to be any significant tornadoes or anything like that. But, a brief spin up. We can't roll it out here. I mean, it is going to be possible. There is a little bit of lower level shear, about 15, 20 knots, which really is low. That's pretty darn low. So, the odds of us getting anything big are pretty darn low, with kinematic structure that low, essentially. Instability's decent, though. We got enough fuel. Great amount of moisture, mid-70 dew points. That's pretty darn high, which is typical for this time of the year here overall. So, that is that. Let's see here. Supercell composite. Everybody loves to use supercell composite. I don't use it too much, but kind of shows you where the mixture of supercell ingredients are going to be, in which you could see, this goes from a scale of 0 to 35. Sometimes it'll go above if the models are going crazy. But we aren't seeing anything super duper high. I mean, values here of upwards of, 3 to 6 or so, kind of on a lower scale. So, like I mentioned, nothing extremely crazy today. But, a little bit of hail, a little bit of gusty winds, isolated tornado or two cannot be ruled out. But then we work our way toward the plains, and that's where we actually have a pretty big hail risk today. We do have another tornado percent, or another 2% tornado risk here today for the plains. For portions of Nebraska, North South Dakota, and a little bit of southeast Montana. Wind threat here, 15 in the yellow, 5 in the brown. As well as the hail threat, we do have a pretty big hatch risk here for hail. So we do got to look out there for that. That's where the big threat is. So with that being said, let's move on back over here. Let me see. We're going to bring up our precip. Let's see. Halloween Time says, we are heading down to Florida for 2-week vacation next Sunday. Is there anything to worry about tropical storm or hurricane formation? No. As of right now, we're doing pretty good. Nothing going on, my friend. So, Halloween, you'll be fine. The only thing I'll tell you is that be prepared for the heat and be prepared for, for the storms. Because, yeah. Let's see here. Oh, what's up, Court? Welcome. Anyways, moving on, though. So like I mentioned, we're going to be getting quite a bit of storm activity. We're going to hop our way back to HRRR real quickly for these storms here. They seem pretty isolated today, though, from what the HRRR is suggesting overall. I mean, yeah, today is, Sunday? So, I mean, later today, right around 6 p.m. Eastern, I think 22 UTC is 6 p.m. Eastern. Correct me if I'm wrong. But right around that time, you can see there's a few scattered storms. They seem very isolated, though. It doesn't seem like a wall or anything like that. But the storms that do develop could definitely contain some pretty large hail. Let's move up north a little bit here. It seems like there could be a little bit more storm activity towards the Dakotas, but once you work your way down towards Nebraska, it seems like the odds lower quite a bit here. This would be a prime example of a 5% hatch risk if we had it. In my opinion, that does not exist, but this would be a great example of when one would probably be needed. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. Yeah, Halloween. Yeah, the only thing that you gotta look out for is just Florida's typical thunderstorms. which happen daily pretty much due to sea breeze initiation, or sea breeze initiated storms. Also, just diurnal heating in general creates storms sometimes by unevenly heating up the surface. In simple terms, big boom booms will go boom over Florida almost every day, and be prepared for that. Anyways. But yeah, so, like I said, from what it looks like, actually pretty early tomorrow, though, here for Monday. Looks like a bit more storm activity up for North Dakota could roll through. So we will see. But yeah, like I mentioned, nothing super, super crazy today, it doesn't seem. An isolated tornado or two possible throughout some of these regions here today. A little bit of gusty winds, decent chance for some hail out of those isolated cells up across the plains and whatnot. But, other than that, I mean, we're kind of chilling. See, it looks like Florida hasn't had much hurricane or tropical storm activity yet this season. Nah, it's still pretty early. It is still pretty early. I was actually showing you guys the hurricane activity chart, which I'll bring it up again to show you. It is pretty early this time of the year for tropical cyclone activity. I mean, I'm not saying it can't happen, because it certainly can, but it is typically, this time of the year, it's pretty calm usually. But let's hop on over here real quickly to this. So here's the chart. This kind of shows us here when the activity for tropical cyclones occurs, in which obviously right now we're in late July pretty much, so we are basically right in here at this little point here. We're right in this area here. So you can see, the main ladder of activity is still yet to come. And we haven't really started climbing the ladder yet of tropical activity. But yeah, I mean, that definitely is going to be ramping up here next month, really starting late this month, which we're getting ready to start climbing that ladder here, going into early next month here. And of course, this will gradually increase, throughout August, and then once we hit September, like the second week of September, that's when we're at peak hurricane season, whenever the most activity, on average usually occurs. So, court says it needs to stay that way, as long as it doesn't do any power outage issues. And I mean, if we had a good storm with no power outage issues or anything like that, then that'd be pretty good. But yeah. I know Florida can be sneaky sometimes and bring a severe storm. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, typically, some of the reasons why Florida doesn't have daily severe thunderstorms is because on a typical Florida day, the kinematics are pretty weak. Basically, the winds throughout the atmosphere are pretty weak. So for severe weather, you need organization from wind shear, which is just simply winds throughout the atmosphere at different levels. Florida doesn't usually have a strong current or a strong jet stream over it, because it is pretty far down from the main jet stream belt, which is up north. That's why a lot of the plains, the Midwest, those areas in the South sometimes get a lot of the heavy severe weathers because they're closer to the jet. Florida, on the other hand, is pretty far down away from the main jet stream. But every once in a while, you'll get a little trough that'll dip down very far and will increase our wind shear and give us severe weather. Now, I'm not saying it can't happen with weak wind shear. I mean, obviously, yeah, there is, some days that have better potential than others. More higher precipitable water potential. More higher, greater flooding concerns. But typically, Florida's normal thunderstorms aren't usually severe due to the lack of wind shear. Typically in the atmosphere for Florida, which usually isn't super strong. Usually isn't. But like hurricanes and stuff like that, they do typically bring a lot of strong wind shear, of course, at all levels. Anyways, moving on. Moving on from that. Just thought I'd share. Let's see. But I know September is the prime time for hurricanes. They say September and October. Yeah, I mean, you can see from right here, September, October is some of the heaviest activity. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I know Michigan, where I live, we've been active for severe weather this summer, which is unusual. Yeah, it's been a pretty active, pretty weird year for the weather. Summertime severe weather and stuff like that. It's been a little different. It has. But it all just really boils down to the where the jet stream is located, how strong the jet stream is, how much moisture there is, how much instability there is. There is so much factors involved, and whenever all the ingredients come together at the right time, at the right place, that's when stuff happens. I mean, even sometimes whenever you have all those ingredients in place, sometimes it still doesn't happen because nature is weird. And those are the days we have those busts, which can happen. But anyways, what's up, Ma? Welcome. Anyways, but yeah, so once again, peak hurricane season is here for September. So we are still a little bit of ways away from that. But yeah, hopping back to models though, we're gonna take a look back here for the people who have just joined us here. So we have the 12 UTC GFS run here. This is the latest guidance that we have. So we have that disturbance that we're watching here in the Atlantic here. This is disturbance 1, which I will bring up the. Actually, I'm just gonna bring it all over here and show you again. So you can see this is out here in the North Atlantic, just to the east here of the Lesser Antilles. In which we do have a 10-10 chance. So throughout the next 7 days, a 10% chance probability here for tropical development, which is pretty darn low. And throughout the next 48 hours of the next 2 days, we also have a 10% chance, which is very low. The reason that the probability is so low and why they actually lowered it is because the storm is going to encounter some problems as we work our way to the west. This system is going to be running into some wind shear as well as a bit more drier air, and that's going to allow for the storm to pretty much just kind of lose any potential in developing here. Because, tropical cyclones, they do not need any wind shear. They need no wind shear in the atmosphere, little wind shear. Because the problem with high amounts of winds in the atmosphere for tropical cyclones is that it disrupts its organization. So these are very much vertically stacked systems, meaning that the columns need to be perfectly vertical in order to ensure the storm has good flow. But wind shear disrupts its organization, in which allows for these systems to wobble, to lose strength, and to prevent some of them from forming. So that is that. That is that overall. Now, so that's basically what we're looking at. That is how these systems, that is how these systems do tend to, how they tend to live and all that stuff. Let's see here. What is my predictions for winter 2025? Okay, first of all, we are a little far away from that. We're in the summertime. Before that, we should get into fall forecast, and then we should get into the winter. But it's just, it's too far out. You can't look at it quite yet because models would give us nothing but garbage, pretty much. I mean, that's still what 5-6 months out. That's still like a half a year. It's hard to predict what's going to happen next week, yet alone half a year out. I know there's climate models, and they're better for looking at trends of things, but, yeah, that still is pretty far out, even for climatology. Let's see here. But yeah, please be patient, my friend. I see you spamming quite often. Yeah, just be patient. I'll get to your question, okay? But anyways, doing pretty good. Thought I'd check and see what's going on in the weather world. I got you. Well, it's good to have you here. But yeah, so hopping back to models, though, that little system here doesn't really look like it does much. Once again, you can see where it's at. This little guy, follow it. This thing moves to the west here. You can see it just kind of fizzles out. It really doesn't do much. Now, if we look at the wind shear at that time across the region, you see this kind of belt of really strong wind shear. This is going to allow for the storm to kind of really prevent it from really kicking up and doing much of anything here overall. So, that is that. Now, looking at the moisture and stuff, you can see that we do have, a pretty good amount of moisture kind of where we're sitting now. I mean, here kind of indicated in that bluish green color, represents a fairly saturated SKU-T chart here. In which basically meaning that, through a lot of the atmosphere, there's a lot of water vapor, there's a lot of moisture, and humidity is pretty high. But, areas up here in the brown, you can see how much more spaced out everything is due to more drier conditions. So basically, the further your dew point and your temperature are from one another, the lower the humidity is, and the more drier it is. The closer your dew point and your temperature are together, the more moisture-filled the atmosphere is. And we can see that at certain levels of the atmosphere here, based off of pressure, for altitude equivalent. But yeah, so that's basically the problem. Is that the system could definitely get a little bit of dry air with it, but the main problem is going to be wind shear, really kind of allowing for the storm to weaken quite a bit. Darian says, Andrew, how's my weather? Hot, way too hot. Yeah, we have a heat advisory out here for up to 110 degree heat index values. So, yeah, typical Florida. A little bit warmer. But anyways, so that's what GFS suggests here. I mean, ECMWF European model isn't really that much far off either. I mean, maybe having it live a little bit longer here, as you can kind of see working its way, to the west here. But it still kind of encounters that issue here. This model actually kind of showing a bit more drier air than what the GFS was suggesting. But you see that little blob of all that moisture that it associates with, that kind of fizzles out once it approaches these regions here. So that is that. You can see there's a little bit of dryness once we approach where that storm is here for the Antilles and whatnot. I mean, same thing for the wind shear too. If we take a look at that, you can see that the jet is pretty strong across the Caribbean at that point in time. So that's gonna kind of make for the storm to have a little bit of problems. So it's running out of moisture. It's also running into some wind shear. Now, the waters obviously are warm enough. They're obviously warm enough here. You can see out there by the Caribbean. I mean, across a lot of the Atlantic, actually, we are well within region here. So for tropical storm and tropical cyclone formation, you need those sea surface temperatures of at least 26 degrees Celsius or greater. As you can see across a lot of the waters, especially the Gulf, the Caribbean, a lot of the western Atlantic here, the western North Atlantic, you can see that we do have, quite a bit of, really warm temperatures and stuff like that. So, there is a lot of that already in place, in which that's already setting the stage for this year. I'm a little concerned. I ain't gonna lie. I'm a little bit concerned about the Gulf, considering how warm it is. 29, 30 degrees Celsius waters is very hot. I mean, to put that in perspective, that's like 89 degrees Fahrenheit. That's water temperature. That's pretty darn hot. And like I mentioned, tropical cyclones, they need like 26 or greater, degrees Celsius waters, which, I mean, we've already set the stage, like I said, for this year. But like I said, we're not even climbing up the ladder yet. So, these are going to be quite warm this year. And I think that we're going to get a lot of activity in the Gulf. I really think that that's where a lot of the activity is going to happen this year. Is probably going to be in the Gulf. So, we'll have to see what happens. That we will. Anyways, let's see here. Yeah, absolutely. But so like I mentioned, sea surface temperatures, those are not the issue at all. Let's see here. Looking at the Nino 3.4 index here. This is basically the Pacific oscillation that we got going on here. The equator sea surface temperatures. You can see those currently are right around negative 0.4, so still kind of in that neutral status here. Once you kind of pass negative 0.5 and below, for I think at least 3 months, that's when it becomes La Nina. But we're kind of, in the normal, the neutral status as of right now. So, and that's probably what it's going to pretty much be, for the next little bit, or for most of the season anyways. So the problem, like with La Nina or El Nino, is wind shear. Some have stronger wind shear than others. Like La Ninas are typically good for hurricane season because they have less wind shear throughout the atmosphere to really, stunt those growths, weaker trade winds, which is good for tropical development. But anyways. Anyways. But if y'all have any questions before I roll off here, feel free to let me know. If you guys are new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button. It would be greatly appreciated. Leave a like as well. It'll be much appreciated. Like I said, we're here for you guys. You know, we're going to keep y'all's weather aware and weather update. Nice. Weather updated, I guess. I guess that's how you'd say it. Classic Andrew English moment. We love it. But, you know, a little bit of a summary. Like I mentioned, we have a bit of a flooding concern today up here by the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic. Midwest. Another Andrew moment. The Midwest and Ohio Valley here, a bit of a flooding concern here with that flood watch that we do have. A lot of heat problems for the Midwest, the South. You know, got a lot of problems. Got some fire conditions up here in the Rockies for portions like Nevada, Idaho, Wyoming. And then, of course, you know, that's kind of really what's going on. And of course, we do have that severe weather concern today, too, across the dark green and the yellow areas here. You know, 3 big areas here, one across the Northeast, one across the, the Ohio Valley, Midwest, and one up across the plains and stuff like that. So that's that. What's up, Beb? Hope you're doing good. Saying hot here in Gainesville, Florida. Thought I'd check up on everyone. Yeah, it's hot here in Polk County, Florida. It's super warm. Hope you're doing good, my friend. Good to have you here. Let's see here. Next stream start time. I am not sure, but we'll go live again today, though. I'll definitely stream later today. Let me bring you guys back over to models. I'm gonna see if there's any reason for coverage tonight, which will. You know what? We're gonna bring up the HRRR here. Bring up the her model here. So let's hop y'all over here to the models. Let's hop back to 12 UTC run here. So yeah, the main bit of activity that you can see is a lot of that precipitation, up across a lot of the the Ohio Valley, the Midwest, leading to that flooding concern that we were just talking about. The activity up across the plains seems very isolated. It does look like there's a bit of a capping inversion here in the lower atmosphere that could be a bit of a problem for, let's see, development and stuff. But, I mean, it seems very isolated here tonight, this evening, up across the plains. But it does seem like things do increase tomorrow morning, like early, like before sunset, or before sunrise. Up here across up there across North Dakota here, overall. But anyways. But yeah, other than that, we're kind of chilling. Up here in the Northeast here, we do have a little bit of instability. We have a little frontal system rolling through here. A bit of storm activity here. We'll probably go live again later on today. Probably right around 5 o'clock or so. Yeah, we'll do a little bit of coverage on the Northeast and everything. So we'll keep you updated on that. But if you guys have any questions, let me know. Let's see here. Try Me says, thanks, Andrew, for keeping us weather alerted. Of course. No problem, my friend. If you have any questions, like I said, we're going to take it one more time. If y'all have any questions, going once, going twice, going 3 times, let us know. And I'll let you guys know what's going on here. But if not, then we're going to probably roll off here. We've been live a little over an hour here just for a quick little update stream. But we'll be back tonight. We're not cutting it today. We're not going to not stream anymore today. We'll be live later on. So let's see here. Never seen a weather pattern as crazy as it's been in 2025. It's interesting. It's really interesting. We got all kinds of nasty stuff going on, don't we? Yeah, it's certainly quite a year. That's for sure. I mean, once again, right now that we have all the severe weather going on, all this heat. I mean, it's been brutal. I mean, all these extreme heat warnings we have out here by the Midwest, like Missouri, even the Central Plains, like Kansas here. That's not going anywhere anytime soon. It expires in 4 days, so we got a lot of heat in the future, unfortunately. I mean, tons of heat advisory stretching through the south. Yeah. It is. It's rough. It's rough. And, of course, like I mentioned, the flooding concerns here for portions out here by the by Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, and a little bit of West Virginia here. And then once again, don't forget, guys, that we do have a pretty decent flooding risk today here, especially with that moderate that the WPC or the Weather Prediction Center put out here. For a lot of central Illinois, including Springfield. Just make sure if you guys are in that area here that you are ready to take on the flooding because, we do have a pretty good potential of flooding here, in which you can see it. That's at least a 40% chance probability of flooding. And across the yellow here, that's at least a 15% chance, and across the green, it's a low, at least 5% chance overall. So that is that. All right, see you later, Samuel. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. But once again, everybody, we're going to go one more time. If y'all have any more questions before I roll off here, feel free to let me know. It's obviously good to have you guys here. Once again, if you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button. And if you guys could leave a like for me, it would be greatly appreciated. And maybe even share this channel, too, just to help spread the awareness and help spread the word about our channel. It would be greatly appreciated if you guys could help us with that because, the YouTube algorithm, it's interesting in how it works. And so y'all's help would be much appreciated. And would definitely help us out a ton. That way we can just keep you guys up to date, keep you guys safe, and like I said, we'll do a lot more of these live streams here. I plan on bringing up our daily live streams again like this, just to kind of talk about what's going on here. But we're here for you guys. We are here for y'all. But alright, everybody. Well, that's going to wrap it up for now. We'll be back later on today, right around 5 o'clock or so, I'm thinking. So we'll be back here to do some more coverage. Actually, we're going to do some severe weather coverage here later today. So I hope to see you guys then. But once again, everybody, thank you all for joining us. Y'all take care. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Once again, we'll see you guys hopefully later on today. So set your alarm for right around 5 o'clock or just turn on those post notifications so that you guys can get alerted whenever we do go live. And with that being said, stream's heading off here in 57 seconds. So thank you all so much for hanging out with us. And alrighty, everybody, thank you all for joining. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Hope to see you later. And we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, my friends. See ya later on.